True gossip, with the truth and the gossip. That's a concept, it's not the complex. Keep your mindset on the truth and the gossip. It's not a contest, but a step in a process to get the truth and the gossip. From the house to the streets where the gossip meets the truth. It's not the complex. Keep your mindset on the truth and the gossip. It's not a contest. True gossip, where gossip meets truth.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Season 2, True Gossip, where gossip meets truth. This is our 4th episode. And tonight, this episode is mental illness in our communities amongst teenagers and young adults. How do we handle that, and where do they get help from? We're going to be discussing this because this is something that is in the community, and especially in the Black communities, we just don't like to address this issue. So let's get right to it. I'm going to introduce our panelists, Tajuddin Shabazz, of course, the man with the words and the wisdom, John Kinlaw, our Southern free thinker. He's not here this evening. Maria, our girl, who keeps it real, and Bishop Rick Pleasure, who will be joining us momentarily. And of course, my co-host and the facilitator, the man whose word is like a poet, Ramel, and together we are
First Cousins. Well, listen, welcome to the show. I'm glad you all are here. And to those who are watching, we're glad to have you. We're going to take a break from the election and Trump and Biden. And we're going to talk about something that's a little bit more serious. And that is mental illness in the community. You know, although there is an election that took place and so forth, there's still COVID-19 that's going on. And as a result of it, there have been some things in people's homes and lives that are going on that sometimes is often forgotten because of certain other things are taking the headways and taking the back pages or the front pages of the newspapers, or just flooding your TV news medias or whatever it is that you watch news on. But mental illness is increasing. Suicide is increasing. Depression is increasing. Anxiety is increasing. I mean, we could speak firsthand, Tanya and I, about anxiety and having to deal with that, where our family gets together 3 times a day for prayer just to ease our anxiety through this coronavirus, this COVID-19. So I know firsthand, Tanya knows firsthand, but we want to speak with you all, and please chime in if you're out there, give us questions, comments, and thoughts. But I'm going to start it off with Maria. Why? I want to talk about teenagers first, but why and what causes suicide among teenagers and young adults?
Well, I think it starts with the peers. You know, everybody wants to impress everyone, and everyone wants to be, you know, up there, whatever. Everybody want to be with the Joneses. Everybody want to be down with this one and that one. And not everybody's parents can afford for everyone to be down with everyone. So, I mean, it's a lot of things. Grades, you know, you failing grades, you're trying to be up there. It's a lot of things. Parents is arguing, everybody in the house, you know, you can't get that virtual thing down. So it could be a whole bunch of different scenarios. I think it doesn't even matter the culture. You know, they say we have it more harder, and the reason why we have it more harder is because we're the culture that's in denial of it mostly. You know, colonizers, they will go to see the doctor. They don't care. They'll lie on the couch all day long. But a Black person, no, we ain't trying to lay on nobody's couch.
It's interesting that you said that. I'm going to pass it to Tajuddin, but before I do, I wanted to say this, Tajuddin. From 1999 to 2018, I was reading an article that was posted in September of this year, and it says among Black youth, meaning teenagers and maybe some young adults, suicide has increased 35%.
Yeah.
Now, when I was a kid growing up, I've only known of one person around my age, and this was sometime maybe in 85, 86, 87, that committed suicide. But at the end of the day, I don't know people of that. And to see this number increase by 35%, I know Maria gave her thoughts. What are you really thinking is contributing to this?
I think the roles reverse. You got children that can't relate to the parents, and you got parents that can't relate to the children. And also, with that being said, is that again that role thing where back in the day, you were I would say the standard was parents, the children listened to parents, the church was influential, your neighborhood, then it got to your peers. Now it's changed. It's the peers. They done took the church out, and the parents is on the low totem pole, and the television and the computer and the phone has become the babysitter.
Yeah.
So that's who they relate to. Everything is social thing. So they can't adjust, even back in the day with the bully had a role. Now, they jumping on the bully, but back in the day, you dealt with the bully. Once the bully came out there and somebody got scared and knocked him out, that was his role. That was done. But now the parents are focusing on my child is being cyber bullied. He's being physically bullied when actually all you had to do is find a scared dude to knock him out. And then that was his role. That was done. So the relationship has been altered. Family's not even important. Back in the day, you didn't eat till daddy came home. So a lot of things then changed, and people can't relate to anything. They can't deal with success, and they can't deal with failure. So the video game, they don't even go outside no more. The thumb's gonna be strong as hell. But back then, you was on the monkey bar. We put together a bike for you. If you got physical activity. So people that got lazy and can't relate to each other. Peace.
Tanya, before I toss it to you, Tajadeen mentioned something about bullying. I want to throw some things out here. According to this article that I read, and I'm going to refer back to it, it says the 6 reasons why there's such an increase in suicide among the Black young youth: mental illness, bullying, family violence, physical and sexual abuse, gender identity, and disciplinary problems. Now, he touched on more than one of those areas. I mean, do you agree with this? And if so, is there anything that maybe is missing from it? Please share with us.
I agree exactly with what Tati said, and then with the article, what you're saying. A lot of children are having identity crisis. They are confused, and they're not sure which way to go, because not only because they can't identify with themselves, other people can't identify with them. And what's happening is you got so much social media, and like Tajudeen said, the bullying and stuff that is happening now, the cyberbullying, where you can't even see who that person is that's bullying you. And these kids are even committing suicide because of that. But they feel that they have to fit in. So there's a lot of other things that happens, which is stressful events, which is problems in school, especially now with the COVID-19, where these children are home alone, parents are not there. They're trying to deal with the change of with the online school. They might have broken up with their boyfriend. They're not seeing their friends anymore, where they are socializing. Now even though they know how to socialize over the internet, but children and teenagers still need that physical interaction with another person. They still need to socialize in a structured environment. And then they might have death in the family. They lost a loved one, divorce in the family, and then drugs. A lot of mental issues come from drugs. So we touched on all those bases, and that's where I believe some of the suicide rate, why it goes up, because of some of those issues that I described right there.
Now, and I'm going to toss it back to Maria to see if she has any final words on this as well. But I want to go back to what Tajudeen said. He said something that was very important, and I remember this in my household. He said, "You don't eat your dinner until your father's home." All right. Now, what's the significance on that? When we was growing up, the majority of us probably had one parent working, let alone both parents working, right? And it was a common theme to sit down at dinner time as a family. In my household, we ate at 6 o'clock. I was told if I was there at 6:05, I wasn't going to eat. Okay? But we bring this up because it was so much family structure. Now, I'm looking at the dates, 1999 to 2018. I would venture to say that the mothers are working in 99 to 2018. I would venture to say in the 70s, probably more than half the mothers were home. And, don't get me wrong, the father is probably the most important person in a relationship or in the household, but the mother is the most necessary person in that household. That's where the kids gets their mannerism, they teaching, they nourishing. I mean, it's just the mom does it all. So if you take the mother out of the home because she has to work, and as you all alluded to, that these children are there alone, nobody's keeping an eye on them. No one is conversating with them. No one is talking with them. No one is answering a problem if they have a problem. No one is detecting a problem.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, sure, all of these things, and yes, Tanya, you brought up drug use. When parents is away, the kids will play. And Tajudeen, you talk about going outside and play. Man, that was like your first love, just to go outside. I mean, to see a kid out the window throwing rocks, it seemed like that was the best fun ever. So yeah, I'm gonna give Maria a chance to go ahead and add on to this. Maybe it's something that you want to say.
I just wanted to say that I was at dinner at 5:55. My fat ass wasn't gonna be late for dinner. And if I was late, we had other people in the community that would feed us.
Yeah, and think about that. But can the kid today go down the street and get something to eat?
No, not
Probably
knocking it. No, I mean, my kids do it. My kids, I don't care. They do it. They would have their friends. I would come home from work and all of their friends would be on the porch eating, dinner that I cooked. I don't mind. I didn't mind it at the time because I was pissed off, but I didn't mind because I had to think about it. Maybe they don't have no food in the house. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's not like that anymore. It's not like that.
It's not
like that anymore.
I want to toss it to Tanya on this one. Tanya, so we acknowledge what is the reason and the increase on the suicide, but how do these young people get help?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, right now I work in one of the, I don't want to mention them on this program, but I work in one of the top mental health facilities, which is number 3 in the United States of America. And we are expanding all over. And I see this every day, the mental illness with children. And most children can get this access, but the parents have to know how to get that access. And they can get that information from their schools. They will, and you will know if a child have a mental problem or a learning disability or something of that nature, because they can give your child an IEP in school, and you can find out what their level of education is, their mentality, and whatever else, and then you can go and get that help. And it's basically it's an assessment, and then they can get family support. And then with that help, they can the family can get that support, and they can have what do you call that? Solving problem skills and stuff like that. but they have to seek that help. And most of the time, you can get that from your school. So if you feel that your children are having issues that you don't know what they are and can't pinpoint what it is, talk to the school, talk to the guidance counselor, because they're with your children when they were in school more hours of the day than you are. And they will have an idea of what might be happening with them. They might talk to their friends, letting them know what is going on with them. And they might not talk to their parents and tell their parents that they're having these episodes. There's a lot of kids that have schizophrenic episodes. They're hearing voices and they don't know what those voices are. So, they might talk to their friend in a jokingly manner, but it's real. So I say, start with the school, see if the school can give you some information, and then go from there. There's a lot of mental health facilities out there that you can go to get that assistance for your children.
I think that's the problem, because I'm like, the children are mainly in school most of the day. The parent is always working. So we're just ignoring the fact that something be wrong with it. So parents aren't really paying attention to their children to even know that they have a problem, because they're not raising their children. The teachers are, the dean is, the principal is. So the parents need to really, have like conversations. Don't just pass each other by. Have a conversation with your child to see, really what's going on in their mind, because probably half of them damn terrorists, their parents probably ain't even pay them no mind. That's why they was shooting up schools and movie theaters and stuff, because they was just whatever. Their parents like, whatever. Hey, mom, I bought a new gun today. That's good, Bob. Have a good day. The parents really need to have a better relationship with your children, to know where their mind is, if they are mental, if they
Now, can I say something on that, Maria? It's sad to say, but like Ramel said earlier, most of the time the household is a one parent household these days. And these parents are out there working, and they feel that the kids are just having an episode because they're not there. They don't think that it's a mental problem, or they're having a breakdown, or they're depressed or something like that. They just think the kid is being bad or being unruly or disrespectful. They don't think that, oh, my child is having an episode. They might be having a meltdown. They might be depressed, So with that one household parent, even with a two household parent, sometimes they can't see that.
Now, that's a good segue, Tanya, to this question that I want to ask Tajadeen, because you said sometimes the parents don't recognize that this child may need help. And Tajadeen, I want to ask you, because yes, getting the child help is one thing, but you know what? A lot of time us Black folks think that some sort of therapy is for people who are crazy.
Right.
And we're not gonna go. We're not going because we don't think we're crazy, or we don't think it's suitable for us. But my question to you is, for that child that might need some help, need some assistance, but the parent is looking at it like, you'll grow out of it. He's just had a bad day, or he's just a little hyper. I mean, how do you address that parent? Because to me, I think the struggle is you can't get the child help. If the parent needs the help, not because he or she is the same, but because he or she may be in denial. So what do you say to that individual?
Mm-hmm. I'm on, and you all touched on it also. You specifically, and all of y'all touched on it, right? When you gave that statistic, it was from what, 1998 to now? To 2000?
1998 to 2018. 1999 to 2018.
Right. See, history don't lie. Because look at this thing. These children now that would be teenagers, these are the grandchildren of crackheads. They are the children of the crack babies that came out in the 80s. So they got a chemical imbalance already. So this is the crackheads' grandchildren, and we're talking about the issues that they have The crack came out in 85. So these grandchildren are now the ones with the issues. Now, on the other part, we have a thing in the Black community. We don't want to get help. You know, like I say, sickness is mental, spiritual, and physical. Now, on the physical side, I always make the joke is we don't go to the doctor until we see Jesus sitting at the foot of the bed. Then it's too late. So the same thing with mental. We don't want the stigma of that we got mental illness because we got the whole thing. You're gonna be in a straitjacket. You're gonna be taking a bunch of pills. So that child got that same effect. I ain't gonna tell mom I'm hearing voices. I ain't gonna tell mom or dad I got these issues or anxiety or nothing because we don't want to be labeled as crazy or insane or anything like that. So it just intensifies until they strike out, do something.
And how sad.
Right. You know, so then it's too late. You know, so but that child that's looking, he has to want to change with him or her has to want to change within themselves anyway and have to admit, yo, man, it ain't normal for me to be hearing all these damn voices in my head. You know, so they got to really take that first step. Or else if whoever the teacher or the parent, or if you notice your child acting a little strange, forget about the embarrassment. You should have the love for your own child to have him get looked at.
And you know, that's why I posed the question too, Tajudeen, because you know, sometimes we make excuses for the littlest things, you know, and I want to address what Tawana said, my sister. She says that when it comes down to these schools and offering help, you know, it might depend on your state or what's set up, because from state to state or city to city, it can vary. Some may have it, some may not have it. So you just got to be aware of what's going out there. Like, for instance, I've found 33 organizations out there that's supposed to cater to Black communities for mental illness and depression. And the sad thing about it is there's 33 of them on this list. I never heard of one. Never heard of one. It's not like there's any public advertisement. And maybe it's a good thing I don't know of it because I may not need it. But at the same time, you don't see no public announcement, advertisement, or anything like that. So it may be tough for us to get help. I hope it's in the schools. I hope it's somewhere. But again, I'm going to go back to it. Got to start with us as parents by just having a connection with your child. I know I have 3 children, a son and 2 daughters. And one thing I've always asked them was to come talk to us. And the reason why, because your friends is only going to know just about as much as you. They're not going to know anything more than you. And if you need to know something, you need to know it right, not know what they think is right, because their thinking is no different from your thinking. And chances are what they share with you is going to be wrong. But more importantly, if you get them to communicate with you, if something is out of whack, you'll detect it.
That's what I was.
And I think we get away from some of that simply because, you know, everybody's working in the home. They get home, they're a little bit tired. They yell up to the room, your homework done? Yeah, and that's about it. Maybe they see him for dinner, maybe they don't.
That's what
We're gonna move on, and I want to ask you this, Tanya. Depression, is that a state of being? Is it hereditary, or is it both?
I think it's 50-50. You know, depression can come from other mental health issues that can be hereditary, and then it can lead to depression. So, like Tajudeen was saying, children that come from the 80 parents, you know, I mean, that were on crack or whatever the case may be, they might have some type of sickness that might be, you know, that has nothing to do with a mental issue. But that sickness, they might have diabetes, they might have hypertension, they might have heart problems, any type of thing that might lead to depression. You know, so I'm looking at it as a 50-50 thing. So having some other issues that might lead to a child having depression can come from the parent. It can be hereditary. You know, I'm not saying that it is. And, you know, and I don't want to go into my personal thing, but I'm going to just touch a little base on it. You know, Ramel is my cousin. I had, you know, my mother, God bless her, she passed away over 20 something years ago, probably 30 years now. And when I was growing up, you know, she used to have all these episodes and things, and I really didn't know what it was. You know, I didn't know that my mom had a mental illness until I got older and understood that. And I'm just going to go into that. And I know I'm moving away from the children and everything, but you have to understand how that can affect a child. So with that being said, my mother had this mental illness, and I watched my father have an alcohol problem. And I didn't understand why he would drink so much. But now I understand his drinking came from my mother's mental illness, and that was his way of coping. So my way of coping was, you know, being to myself, where I didn't have a lot of friends. I was closed in, you know, but I was this outgoing person. But in actuality, as I got older, I was depressed. I was depressed because my mother died, my father died, you know, and I had no mom, I had no dad. You know, I'm looking around, everybody got their mom and their dad and stuff like that. And I wound up going into a depressed state and remove myself away from family and friends and allow a situation to take me from that. And I've been going, I was going down that path until I finally realized, Tanya, you got to snap out of it. You can't be depressed like this. You can't allow your circumstances to make you depressed. But it can be hereditary. We have other people that's, you know, that's in my family that has mental illness, take medication for it and stuff like that. And I believe it's hereditary, you know, from what I'm seeing. But I want to say something to what Ramel said. Ramel asked, what do you say to a parent that may be dealing with something like that? There's nothing that you can really say, but it's what you should not say. And you should not say, oh, he's too old for that. He'll grow out of it. He can take care of himself. He just needs a little motivation. Well, if you knew how to raise him, he'll be better. There's things that you just can't say. But there's nothing that you can say, really, to a parent until they come to the conclusion that their child has a problem.
All right. First of all, before I move on, Tanya, I'm very familiar with the history, but I just want to applaud you for bringing your personal life out here because, you know, you said something that was very key, and it can help anybody and everybody. You know, once you realize the truth, you're able to move forward. If you don't recognize it or you know, just understand it or see it for what it is, you may remain in denial and just keep living accordingly, and you could be abusing yourself in some kind of way. So I applaud you for coming out here and sharing that insight on your personal life, and really that deserves a hand clap. And I hope that it helps somebody else down the line, because, you know, recognizing it, that there is something there is the first step.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you, that's the reason why I got into working with people with mental and physical disability, because in order for them to have a quality of life, because they're not having no type of quality of life if they're not addressing the issue. So when you have people like myself that, you know, that have this compassion and caring and have some type of experience to be able to say, you know what, I've been down that road before. Let me see if this will work to help you out, and also give some type of information. But to go back to what you said, you can't tell a parent anything about their children when it comes to a mental illness until they're able to recognize it themselves.
Mic drop it there. Maria, so is depression, anxiety, is the depression a state of being, or is it hereditary, or is it both?
I was thinking about that, and I was like saying, because when I researched, it's more probably genetics 20 and the state of being 80, because it's so much more to it when you say a state of being, because it's genetics, it plays a part of it, but the state of being, persistent sadness, anxious, mood swings, crying, reduced appetite, weight gain, weight loss, irritable, restlessness, decreased energy, fatigue. It's more to it than being a state. It's so much of a state of being that you have to deal with, that you really not even thinking if it's genetic. If you have to really think back into your childhood, like Tanya said, and been like, well, Dad, what did I go through to make me, be this way? So it's to me it's more of a 20 genetics, but it's like an 80 of a state of being, because you never know where it's coming from, and that's
Yeah.
more of a percentage.
And you said a mouthful there. And before I toss it to Tajadine, I just want to
And I
ask.
answered the question.
Yes, you did. And but before I toss it to Tajadine, I do want to ask Tajadine, does poverty, living in poverty, can that affect your depression? And that can also be a state of, a state of being. Because being is existence. And if your existence is poverty, could that affect it? So, Tajane, is depression a state of being, hereditary, or is it both?
All right. And again, since we coming clean, I am a sufferer from PTSD, manic depression, and anxiety myself from being in the military. So again, I didn't want to make light of the crack epidemic or anything like that. But then you also have parents who served Desert Shield and Desert Storm who came back, who suffer from PTSD, anxiety, manic depression, and children that's growing up in a household with one or two parents suffering from that, start suffering, getting those effects from the parents also. But so again, that could be hereditary, but also environment plays a part in that when you talk about the stress, poverty. So with poverty breeds stress, and that stress manifests itself through anxiety, PTSD, and depression. If you broke, that's why, in our teaching, heaven and hell are states of being. They are not places. They are mindsets. So if you are broke, that's a hellish condition. If you're in poverty, if you're hungry, if you're all of that, those are mindsets. But then on the flip side, if you have money, that doesn't mean happiness, but it can help your stress level. But again, we see that stress causes those other illnesses, PTSD, manic depression, and all of those other things. The stress, even again, not only poverty, but if you got a person that's rich and go broke, then they dealing with the loss of having money. So that could be on the flip side. So again, it's mindset also. But then again, like you said, it could be heredity if it's passed on. I'm talking about serious mental illnesses could be passed on to the children. Peace.
All right. Listen, I want to welcome Bishop to the show. He was experiencing some technical difficulties, and we're glad to have him on. Bishop, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. So you missed a couple of things, but we're gonna catch you up to speed here. We're talking about depression, and my question to you is: depression, is it a state of being, hereditary, or is it both? Your thoughts?
It can be a combination. I believe it's a combination of things. You can be. Oh, okay, good. Now I'm on that one. Let me cut off this one.
You there? Tanya, I can't hear you no more.
Bishop, we're having trouble hearing you. We can't hear you.
I think he had to unmute his mic.
Yeah, I think so.
Can you hear me now? Correct?
Yes, we
sir.
can. We can hear you now.
We can't see you.
Well, you can't see me. I'm good.
I can see him.
Get on here. I'm in
okay.
another
It was a little white man.
That ain't him.
needless to say, I believe that it can be a double factor. It can be hereditary because I think that in the gene wise, sometimes you can take on things through bloodstream. It may be, but more so, I think that people get it individually because what happens is that it's your mindset. And I believe I heard Brother Tajuddin saying that it's the mindset of whether you look at heaven or hell. So I don't know how much to make myself loud at the time. I don't know how to do that. So I say this. I say that I believe that in some instances you may, because of what you've seen in your home, it's like alcoholism. Most alcoholics are adult children of alcoholics. It's something that they grow into. Then the other portion is that you can go through some states of life that can cause you to be very depressed. Depression is a state of thought.
I don't like not
You
seeing
heard
you.
me?
Yeah, we
I
heard
don't
you.
like, I
We
don't
heard
like I don't like seeing that little thing. Where's your video at?
He's
Well,
there.
I
you
don't
don't
see
see me. I'm on two things, so you gotta look at the second one. I don't know why I'm on two spots. But anyway, so I'm glad that I made it, guys. Like this technical difficulty was really driving me insane. I started tearing up because I didn't want to miss
Well,
another episode of True Gossip where truth matters, you know? So I'm excited. You know, I know I missed some of it, but from what I grabbed a hold to, we're talking about, you know, is this a hereditary or is it something that you can induce on yourself? I think it's a combination, honestly. Suicide, it's your mindset that causes you to commit suicide. So,
you know, that's a good segue to the next topic. But before we move on to the suicide topic, again, I can't say enough about Tanya and also Tajuddin for sharing their personal experience. This was a very serious topic, and hopefully, if there's a viewer out there, maybe it's touched them where maybe they can take a step forward. Because, you know, we're all teachers. And if we can teach from experience and not necessarily just from textbooks, then let's do that. Because it is each one, teach one, reach one. You know, so again, I applaud you. I do want to talk about suicide. I found some information that I just thought was mind-boggling. And I'm gonna start off with you, Bishop. Did you know that 60% of all deaths that is used by a firearm is suicide? Think about that for a second. With all the killings that we hear about, 40% of deaths from a firearm, that is from one person to the next. That's only 40%. But all deaths, 60% of firearm use is used in suicide. Now, I don't know what percentage of those 60% are license holder, but I'm sure there's a great deal of license holders. There's got to be a better process in the screening for mental illness when it comes down to that. So I'd like to hear you elaborate on that. We're going to let you start off first on this one, Bishop, so you can get some playing time. But what are your thoughts on 60% of all firearm deaths is caused by suicide?
I mean,
where?
I don't know if when they say that, what community does it come in from? Because I was reading some stuff today, and I was reading some statistics on suicide and stuff, and the way they make it sound, it's very much something that happens in the African American community, which I believe that they always make us look like the people that can't control ourselves. You know, when they do statistics, it's always based upon us not having enough sense of being to not be able to combat situations and circumstances in life. I believe that that may be a true factor. It may be guns, but a lot of times the suicides comes in play with the homicides. So it gets really crazy, and like that. I've lived my life in a homicide situation for many of years, and most of the homicides that took place were acts of suicide, but not indulged by yourself. Somebody else do it to you. So I mean, it gets crazy when you think about that. So I don't know if the 60% is a true factor. That I don't know. I do know that suicide is a very major issue in the African American community, but I don't believe that it's necessary. A true statement. I don't know because they always want to make us seem like we have self-control of ourselves, and suicide has to come from some mental illness. No one just kills themselves. So how do we, I don't know.
I'm gonna go to Maria on this one. Maria, I found that statistic to be alarming. All right, I mean very alarming. But here's another statistic. Here's another statistic that I want to share with you.
All right.
In the last 50 years, going back to 1970, there's been 14 million suicide deaths from pesticide poisoning. They say that 1 out of every 7 suicide deaths is from pesticide poisoning. Your thoughts on that? And if you do want to say something about the firearm, please do. But your thoughts on pesticides poisoning?
Are we talking about the percentage of the Black community, or are we just talking about
this is totality?
Okay. Well, I don't see too many. Well, I don't know too many Black people that really, eat rat poison or put, stuff in people's Gatorade and stuff like that and kill themselves and their families. I'm really not seeing that. But I mean, it happens, but I don't see the Black community, killing themselves in that capacity. Whatever. I think that we just have like this mindset, the embarrassment that we have of, people finding out, knowing that, oh, I killed myself by, drinking poison, or I don't see it. I just see more of us, just trying to keep it in and holding it in until we just, get to an age where our minds just can't even take it no more. That's why I think our culture has so much dementia and so much what do you call that? Alzheimer's. Because we have so much going on. When we reach a certain age, our mind is just tired. Is that a buzzer to say that's enough?
No, that's my phone.
Oh, okay.
So did you want to say something about the firearm? Did you want to say something?
I've been hearing this buzzer all night. I'm thinking he got a time in there.
No, it's so you wild. But did you want to say something about the firearm?
Oh no, the firearms. I'm agreeing with Bishop on the firearm. I don't really see us, killing ourselves. I'm trying to think of a reason why we would just actually just shoot ourselves. I don't see the statistic in that, but you said 60%, and I'm trying to figure out of that 60%, you know, how many is it really homicide or suicide?
But you
So,
know, Bishop did make a good point that if an individual kills the next person and then turns around and kills themselves, because that happens, they kill their spouse,
yeah,
kill their
yeah,
kids, and then next thing you know, they kill
yeah,
themselves, and
exactly.
it's a suicide homicide,
Yeah.
right?
That's
Tajideen, your thoughts on the 60% of firearm deaths in the U.S. are from suicide? I really think that number is alarming, and then the 1 in 7 suicide deaths is from pesticide. Your thoughts on that?
I don't think it's the black community at all,
I know that's right.
That's what
because we were brought up in the church, and the ultimate sin that we were taught was suicide. If you killed yourself, that was like a one-way ticket to hell. You
That's
know,
right.
so this pesticide, I could see in the 70s or so when they had the lead paint
Yeah.
and all of that stuff in the houses, something like that. But this chemical thing, I don't think that, again, you got to break that statistic down a lot more. Now, on the firearms thing, back in the day, we had, you know, daddy had a handgun, and you told the child, don't touch my damn gun, don't touch it. And we were scared of guns. If you show it to
That's
me, I
right.
was scared.
Yeah.
Now, in the Nation of Islam, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us to don't even have a penknife. You couldn't carry a firearm because he knew our mindset was, now we coming into who we are and coming into the knowledge of who we were, or who we are. So domestic violence in our community is an unspoken thing too. So now the husband and wife get into it. Now, depending on where the fight break out, if they start arguing in the kitchen, somebody gonna get stabbed. If you get arguing in the bedroom, somebody gonna get shot. So he told us to get rid of the guns because he knew the mind state of that. So
Yes.
again, nowadays, you know, we on the thing is I'd rather have a gun than to not need it than to not have it and need it. You know,
That's
it's
right.
a different time. But you got to teach the responsibility. You should have the screening, the background, the psychological screening, all of this stuff if you're going to and go to a firearm safety course and all the responsibility to owning one. But even then, you know, you got to have gun locks on there. You got to hide that gun from your children because again, these little children are curious and nosy, and they going in there. What's this box here? You know, I think all of us have seen that episode when James got the gun and Michael shoot and oh, it's unloaded power. And next thing you know, James putting the gun in the shoebox and they get rid of it. So again, you got to teach if you're gonna have a firearm, you got to have gun locks, you got to have a safe, you got to hide that. It's the responsibility of having a firearm. Yes, sir. Peace.
Understand. I'll get to you in a second, Bishop. I want to go to Tanya, give her a chance to comment on it. Not only is 60% of all firearm deaths in the U.S. are from suicide, but they say 46% of all suicide deaths is from firearms. Tanya, your thoughts on this?
All right, I'm gonna go back and I'm going to not rebuke you guys, but that's the problem in the Black community. We say not us. Tawana, which is Ramel's sister, she said that mothers recognize the sign, and I'm going back to the kids because that's what the topic was about, teenagers and young adults. So I'm going to go back and I want to complete I want to complete my thought. So Tawana said that others don't recognize that the child has a problem, but the mothers do. And the problem is in the Black community, we brush that stuff to the side and say, not us. When in actuality, it is us. Because like Ramel was asking, can poverty be part of the problem? You know, that we might feel that we are unhappy and we want to, you know, we don't want to be here anymore, you know? And not only that, they had serial killers. People used to say, Black people don't go around killing people like that, but they do. Why? Because they probably had a problem a long time ago, and the Black community does not recognize that we have mental issues and we don't want to address it. So when we start to come to the fact that there is a problem in our community, and yes, we will do what you're saying that we're not going to do. We will kill ourselves with guns. We will cut ourselves with to get rid of the pain. We will consume pesticides and do all these things. So we as a community have to stop saying not our community, not us, not black people, because it is us. We do these things. And I want to say this one thing, that there was a couple that I was counseling their daughter on. And the mother said to me, oh, she will grow out of it. She said that was her imaginary friend. You understand what I'm saying? That's not an imaginary friend when you get to be 18 years old. Imaginary friend you should have grown out of around 5, 6 years old. When you're in middle school and high school and about to become a grown-up, that's schizophrenic. And the black community has to recognize that mental illness is in our community, and we have to start recognizing the signs at a younger age. Because I have to go back to another thing. I was speaking to someone, and they said that they didn't diagnose the child with bipolar because they say that the child is not old enough to be diagnosed with bipolar. So they diagnosed the child with ADHD. But that I don't believe that that's true. A child can't be diagnosed with bipolar because I've seen it in children that 1 minute they're this way and another minute that way. You can tell an ADHD child that's restless, can't keep still, want to move around and do other things. But you can see the difference in a child that has bipolar. So the only thing I want to say is we as a community, Black African American community, have to stop saying not us and start to recognize the signs so we can get a grip on this mental illness in our community and get our teenagers and young adults help.
And you clearly said a mouthful. And Bishop, I'm going to come right to you, but I just want to address Quavesta. She agrees with you, Tanya. And along with what you say, Tanya, I got to piggyback off, and I hate to use the word piggy, but I do have to piggyback off of what you said, and this is important. I'm going to speak on just about the majority of Black fathers out there, because I know I'm not alone when I say this, especially when it comes down to a son. We're very quick to say, ain't nothing wrong with him, he's just being a boy. Because we want a mini me. We want an all boy kid. You know what I mean? If he's a little bit bad, ain't nothing wrong with him, he's just being a boy. Let him go out there and burn that energy up. He all right. And you know what? We could be suppressing the problem. We could be not addressing the problem. We may be encouraging the problem. We just don't know. You know, we played cops and robbers with little cap guns as a kid growing up. There was no suicide rate among young kids when we was in the 70s. But it's from 99 to 2018, and they don't play cops and robbers no more. The only thing they have is a water gun out there. But you know what? They are playing these video games. That's nothing but killing.
Call of Duty.
Yeah, nothing but killing. You know, so yeah, to your point, Tanya, and to Tawana's point, yeah, sometimes the Black fathers don't recognize it. But before we move on, I'm gonna get back to Bishop before he loses thought.
No, I ain't gonna lose my thought. I got this thought very well. Well, first of all, I came in on the end of the set, right? When I hear 60% of suicides are gun control and don't know the complete statistics of it, and i.e., are they saying 8% are African American? I don't believe that we walk around killing ourselves and shooting ourselves in the head. Now, I don't care what anybody say about that. I just don't believe that. Now, jumping off a bridge, drowning ourselves, self-inflict ourselves with maybe cutting our arm or something. Yes, but guns, I don't believe that I just don't believe that. In a 60% rate. I'm not saying that we don't do it at all. I just don't think that 60% of the suicide in the African American community is done through gun violence. Now, let me say this. I started an organization called Have You Seen Me? Because a young man that I know, and I can publicly say his name because his name is known across the state of Rochester, Alonzo Williams, went missing. The young man was going through a state of depression that caused suicide. Suicide is usually done out of depression. They link together. Most people don't commit suicide, just wake up one morning and say, oh, I'm gonna kill myself. It's a premeditated thing that usually happens prior to them killing themselves. So he goes through this relationship, it's not working well, he got a job, the people not treating him well there, he's trying to go to school, he's not doing good in grades, and now the depression takes place in your life. And I'm saying this from a pastoral status of dealing with people that I sit down and talk to that have said, Bishop, during that time, Pastor, Reverend, I'm ready to kill myself. My job, the only job I really have there is it's called the proper authority to help him because I can't help him after that link, other than to encourage him that it can get better. But I just don't believe that 60% of the suicides are done through gun violence, instead of gun inflictions. I believe that it's done through a state of depression that causes them to say, there's no hope for me. And then not just that, Ramel was talking about how we say, oh, he's just a boy. Well, you know how many times we may have been told or we may have heard, you're dumb, you're just like your father, you'll never amount to nothing. Those things could cause you to kill yourself. So there's a wide broad of things here, especially when it comes to our children. And Brother Tajin, I see your hand, man of God.
Yeah,
But I've seen it because I realize and recognize that in the ministry of which God has called me to be in, I have to look for all signs of behavior. So you're trained to do that. So yes, a mother has a mother instinct that will tell her something's not right with him. He's really getting out of control, but it's in a manner where I know that it's not just a behavioral problem. Or I know that it's not just, he's just being a boy. And fathers, their sons don't have mouths enough. What are you gonna be, a faggot? First he said, my son ain't gonna be no punk, he ain't gonna be no faggot. So now you trying to toughen him up. So there's a whole board of a lot going on there. Anyway, that's my opinion about that gun thing. I just don't believe that 60% sounds emphatically impossible for the African American community by itself. I'm sorry.
I
Tajideen, you had your hand up.
Yeah. And I wanted to add on what Tanya is saying. Yeah, we sweep a lot of things under the rug and don't acknowledge certain things, and I didn't want to come off to say, no, it's not in our community. Yeah, that exists. It exists. But that statistic for our community seemed a little high, because the thing was by firearm. Now, we ain't the type to blow our brains out. Now we are. But back in the day, we knew people that took St. Joseph's baby aspirin, Tylenols, and stuff like that. But to take a firearm in it, that I'm not saying now, but coming up to now, it may be, I don't think it's 60%. But again, suicide did and has always been in our community.
Ramel, can you please reiterate what you said? He said he didn't say 60% of firearms are committed by suicide in our community. He said overall.
It's the totality.
Right.
Okay.
That's just like saying that we're hanging ourselves in trees.
It's the totality.
That's how
right. And that's what I was just addressing.
Hanging ourselves in trees.
I want to kind of review this really quick. And with the young youth and especially Black youth, the increase is basically off of mental illness, bullying, family violence, physical and sexual abuse, gender identity, and disciplinary problems, right? Mm-hmm. And then when it comes to the adults, and that ranges from all ages, the risk factors for suicide comes a little bit steeper. Of course, it's mental health, but economic recession, gun prevalence, divorce, media coverage, which I thought was interesting. When I read up on that, they said that with media coverage, when media brings it up, it tends to promote it, or the numbers increase for whatever reason. And then there's alcohol use that is used for suicide. And they also said that men are 10 times likely to commit suicide than a woman. Listen, this is a very, very touchy subject. And I'm going to be honest with you all. I didn't know how I was going to come across with this and address it. I'm glad that we decided to get away from the election and politics and so forth and talk about something that is more prevalent. Right now, we're going through this coronavirus. It may not be affecting us individually like it's affecting others, but there's some people that have lost some loved ones, lost some money, lost some jobs, maybe even lost their home, lost hope, and may be on the verge of suicide.
Yes.
And if you're out there and you're one of those people, I'm going to tell you this, we can't talk the talk if we don't walk the walk. And if you're in need of help, please contact True Gossip. I mean, we're not no specialists or anything like that, but you know what? If you need someone to vent to, maybe someone that just shows some care, I'm going to tell you, I care. I care. I care. You can inbox us, you can write us, you can keep it personal. But you know what? If this is your only place for help, it's here.
So be it.
It's here. So before we close, I want to go around, just a 1 minute thought. We'll close out with Tanya. But for you all, another great show. This is maybe out of our field, but I believe you all brought some insight, and hopefully we are helping a listener or a viewer, because this is what it's about. We're not here to gossip about who's zooming who and who's dumping this one. Now, if we can bring some insight and educate you or help you, then that's what it is. So I want to start out with Tajudeen. Do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, this was an awesome show tonight. I appreciate everybody's insight. And again, if anybody's out there that's going through that, call your suicide prevention quick. I'm a social media mogul, what they call a public figure, and I've had people inbox me going through stuff. I've seen posts where you can see the person is going through stuff, their hopelessness, and I quickly inboxed them and got their numbers and used their numbers to contact suicide prevention to help them. Because again, this is personal. People going through everything, loss of this, corona, blah, blah, blah. But again, the stress level is high, so it's going to produce suicides and different things of that nature. But if you're going through anything, again, get in touch with the suicide prevention number and get the help that you need. Peace.
Maria?
I just want to let everyone know that depression is not a sign of weakness. Getting help is a sign of strength. If you need to speak to any one of us, I'm sure we're available. And just like Mr. Shabazz said, call that hotline if you need it. And I hope that this episode helped someone, or got a hold of somebody or some people that really would reach out to us. And we, just like Ramel said, we're not scientists or we're not psychologists, but we just are just plain people that care about everyone that's listening and that's not listening. Just pass the word.
Bishop?
Truth matters. I think that this subject here is a subject that's always avoided by people, especially those who are in that state. Depression, again, is not a sign of weakness. Depression is a sign of I need help. That's what I hope that this segment have given you, that there's hope on the end of this, and that true gossip, we may not be doctors, as we said, and I won't reiterate that, but we do have love. And they said, he that loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love. We have love for the people. And true gossip, where truth matters, means a lot to us, that you know the truth and that you're made free from this bondage of deception that Satan uses as depression to cause you to commit suicide. You don't have to do it, and you're not alone. You have people here to support you. And as Minister Tasha Jean said, I believe that you should be able to go to your local resources, get the help you need. And if you can't get the help you need, call us and we'll find the help you need. Thank you for watching True Gossip, where truth matters.
Tanya, close this out.
Yeah, I just want to say again, thank you guys for this this show tonight, because this is personal to me also. And for me to tell my story, I hope that my story will grab you and you'll be able to see what your children are going through and recognize those signs. And I just want to say this one thing before I close it out and hand it back over to Ramel. If you see your friend going through something, say something. And I'm going to give you an example. And then I'm going to go personal again. Because last summer, I didn't know I was so depressed. And I was in the car with a friend. And the friend said to me, who am I talking to today? So I stopped the car and I said, what do you mean by that? And they said, I don't know, today you happy, tomorrow you sad, you crying, you know, is everything okay? They recognized something was going on with me that I didn't even know that it was happening. So I immediately called my doctor and told my doctor I need to see them because, and it wasn't a psychiatrist, but it was my primary care physician. And I called her and I said, listen, I need to talk to you. I don't know. I explained to her what happened. She let me come in immediately. And I had a conversation with her and I found out why I was going through what I was going. Sometimes it could be a chemical imbalance, or it could be that you're in a state of depression and sometimes you don't even know why you are depressed. But you have to find the root of the cause. And like everybody else said on this thing, if you need someone, we are not doctors, psychiatrists, or anything like that, but we are your friend. We have a platform that we can reach out and you can reach out to us. And even if we can just be an ear to hear, we will listen. And call your National Suicide Prevention Hotline. It's a nationwide number. It's 1-800-273-8255. Again, that number is 1-800-273-8255. If you need help, reach out there and call them and get the help that you need, because everybody needs help. You can't do it by yourself. This is Tanya Cole Lennon. This is True Gossip, where gossip meets truth. You can follow us on IG, Facebook, listen to us on Spotify, iTunes, and you can watch us if you didn't catch us live on YouTube at True Gossip, where gossip meets truth. Thank you for listening.
Peace and blessings. See you next week.
Bless you. So, guys, I end up missing the whole show. This computer.
Hold on. She's got to take us off Facebook first.
Oh, I like them little clips that she put in there when we were talking on the backside. I was married to this computer. I said, the devil is alive. This computer wouldn't let me get on. And you know, I'm sorry that I missed the testimonies, because see, the testimonies is the encouragement for the non-believer. You know, actually, so to miss that, I'm gonna have to go back and review that. I want to say this: True Gossip is really doing a great work out here, man. I've been hearing a lot of stuff about True Gossip, where truth matters. You know, y'all say where truth gossip meets truth.
Listen,
Truth matters to me, and
we
And this was a good subject.
were clearly, you know, I'm gonna say on my behalf of me, I was clearly out of my element today, out of my zone, and I think that collectively we did a damn good job.
Now
And
you did good. You got
I
this
hope,
fixed. You
I
got
hope
this
that we
fixed.
reach some individuals, man, because this
Yeah, I
is a
hope so
serious,
too. I was
this is a
thinking that.
serious topic.
I missed that 60% thing. I was like, we ain't killing ourselves like that. We ain't.
Yeah,
Yo, I had to
that
do some
confused
homework.
me.
I couldn't just come out here and talk. I did some homework, man. I did some
Yeah, I
homework.
did some research too. That's why I was like, but I did.
Well, I am the research.
Yeah,
Hey,
I did some research too.
That was great.
all right, man. Good night,
Mr.
everybody.
Tajudeen, how you doing?
Hey, I'm
Great to see
fine,
you,
man.
man.
Hey,
I
look.
missed your input.
Oh, I was
I missed
building,
your
man.
input.
It was an awesome day. I got to I spoke today. I gotta get in touch with you too, man. We say that, but I gotta
Yes,
get
we
in touch
do.
with you. I taught on the prodigal son today.
Oh, I'm gonna hang up, y'all. I gotta hang up. Bye, guys.
All right.
Oh,